How's it going?
Doing all right, brother. How about yourself? I don't know if you can see. I gave
Uh,
myself a little title today, the Chief of Nonsense.
Chief of Nonsense. I mean, it could have been the Master Queef for all we know, you know?
The Master Chief of Nonsense. Yeah, although I can't hold that title.
Well, I said the Master Queef, but, you know. Oh, man.
No, you see, I'm not confused about my sex or gender. I know I can't produce a queef.
I don't know if you've seen the thumbnail.
No, I didn't. Let me take a look. See, gotta check this out. Ah, oh Lord. So, if you've looked at the thumbnail, ladies and gentlemen, before popping into the show here, you can tell that there's, at the very least, one particular topic in the realm of video game nerddom that we are going to touch upon. And here's the thing, weirdly for me, I've only just in the last couple of years played through the first two Halo games. Just in the last couple of years. Never was a big shooter fan. Never been a big FPS guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I only just got into Halo a few years back because it was it was recommended to me that if I was going to try to look for an example of storytelling in a game that doesn't do like heavy cutscenes and text boxes and more environmental storytelling, but was not the kind of environmental storytelling done by, say, the Soulsborne series, that I could look to Halo as an example. And so I played Halo 1 and I played Halo 2. Now, I did not get all the way through Halo 2 because I lost my copy of that game. But now my father-in-law has it with his old Xbox, so I will be playing through that again. And finally, it'll be nice, kind of go down that end of the retro road, because most of my retro gaming is 8 and 16 and 32-bit. But it'll be nice to do something a little bit more up to date.
Right. Yeah, I mean, everybody says that, like, Halo stopped being good right around Halo Reach, but to me, it stopped being good right around Halo 3. Like, after Halo 3, it just dropped the ball.
Morning,
Hey,
Scuba.
Scuba.
How you doing, hon? Um, and again, I don't have a frame of reference there. I've got Halo 1 and 2 in the house. I have a copy of ODST for the 360.
I have that as well. I also
Um,
have the Halo Master Chief Collection
okay.
on Steam,
I've been
which
told.
has
Sorry, go ahead.
like most of the Halos besides Halo 5. But I also have Halo Infinite as well.
Okay. Wasn't there also a strategy game,
Halo
Halo
Wars.
Wars? Okay.
Yep. Halo Wars 1 and 2.
Okay. That's good to know, Scuba. Where everyone here is alive. You could be a member of the undead, a lich lord or lady. Would it be a lich lady? I don't know. Never heard of that one.
Yep. And I got Lily here laying on my keyboard.
Oh, Lily. Silly Lily. The
Yeah, I was
typical.
having a little bit of a moment there trying to get up off the couch. She was like on my chest. I'm like, what do I do? But
You lay here and pet me.
yeah, pretty much.
So, since you are far more the enthusiast and more familiar with the property in question that we're going to start off with, I leave it to you as our host and the gentleman who's also got the technical know-how and is more familiar with this material. I would leave it to you to get us started there, brother.
So as far as like Halo, like what is it you want to know? Because there's plenty to go through.
Well, I would say just kind of start us off with a brief overview on the real world side, looking at the Halo games as a series of games.
So, okay. I'm trying to think on how to put it that way.
Well, like
I
to
mean,
just start off with Halo as a video game series is a first person
oh
shooter.
yeah, it's a first person shooter story slash, video game. It's typically played either co-op or can be played, well, from what I know, some of them you could play 4 player.
Oh, nice.
So, you of course have your multiplayer that you play, people do the tournaments and whatnot. That was a big thing for original Xbox, was like the multiplayer stuff for that, for Halo 2 when that came out. And everybody knows Blood Gulch. I mean, you can't not know Blood Gulch when you play Halo or think of Halo. Um, yeah, I mean, Halo, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're, you know, you're a Spartan, you're John 117, the Spartan superhuman soldier that, is sent to take on the Covenant or, the aliens in this case.
And the
Um,
Spartans were engineered for warfare, were they not?
correct.
So
They
the
were
entire
chosen as children when they became Spartan, the Spartan
okay.
program. If I'm not
So
mistaken, that was like the Oni Corporation or whatever they were called.
okay. So keep this as your frame of reference as we go forward, ladies and gentlemen. That the primary protagonist of the series, the Master Chief, he is but one in a series of human beings who has been born and bred for battle, for
Yep.
warfare. The whole reason that the game is called Halo Combat Evolved is that he stands as the shining example of the pinnacle of human evolution to be put forth into the field of battle against any and all potential threats that could face down the human race. That is his whole.
Although that is part of it, but Halo itself is actually another whole thing. Like Halo, they have the rings that are called Halo, which
Right,
are the weapons of the Forerunners.
right. Very much, I would say, derived or based loosely, at least, on the ring world of the books of Larry Niven.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, as we know it, like I said, you have the UNSC human faction, the Covenant, and then of course the Flood when they show up at the end of Halo 1 Combat Evolved. Um and then from there, they went from Halo 1 to, I want to say their last game was Halo Infinite,
Okay.
which I still yet to play all the way through that. His brother masturbator. Um yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a pretty self-explanatory story. You go through the game trying to figure out what the rings are for, and you wind up finding out that they were meant to destroy the Flood. The Flood was an ancient enemy, an ancient parasite that was basically wiping out all life and conforming it into biomass for more Flood.
Hey, see, my familiarity with the mythology is not exactly up to snuff, and I apologize for that, brother.
Um, yeah, the Flood is a pretty nasty enemy.
It sounds to me like it's somewhat reminiscent of Plague Marines almost.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's a
I don't know,
similar
man.
concept. It's a concept that we've seen a lot in science fiction, particularly of a dark sci-fi or horror sci-fi bent, wherein the ultimate alien enemy, the other, the outsider, is a hive-minded parasite that
Yep.
infects its host, takes it over, and gloms it into its own collective.
Yep.
For nothing short of the purposes of domination, dominion, and feeding.
Now, when you made the comparison with the Plague Marines from, like, I'm assuming Warhammer,
Yeah, that's
that's
what I'm thinking.
another whole ball game with that. That was more of a, how do I put this? Between the Flood and the Plague of Nurgle, the Plague of Nurgle was more so like a mercy sake for, like, the Space Marines that had then taken in the Plague. Essentially, the Plague Marines, even the Primarch himself, were all suffering and dying horribly, and they had
Okay.
taken on the plague of Grandfather Nurgle.
Okay.
They were bestowed upon the gifts of Nurgle.
Ah.
Yeah, so essentially they made a deal with the devil.
Yeah, I say that's not the kind of gift. Can we not do a white elephant on this one for
Yeah.
Christmas this year, Grandma? I don't want to open that package. It's crawling and it's wet.
Yeah, essentially they're giant, big, bagged, armored, plush bag. I don't even know what you would call it. Just gross.
Right. And it's much more sci-fi, almost with a blend of ecclesiastical, semi-religious or spiritual, mythological bent, whereas the Flood are an alien parasite
Yeah,
sentience.
that's more of a hive mind compared to the, like the Plague Marines. Like the Plague
Okay.
Marines, it varies with the plague with Nurgle, because like you have Poxwalkers, which are essentially brainless zombies, but they're still conscious.
Kind of like me when I have to go to the DMV.
Essentially their whole body is warped, but they're still there in their head.
Oh.
It's like basically the plague is taking the pilot of their body, but they're still there witnessing everything going on to their body and what they're doing to their potential victim.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Whereas the
The
human,
Flood more so conforms you for knowledge, weapons, whatever knowledge. It's essentially just gaining knowledge. So,
okay.
like, let's say if a UNSC captain gets infected by the Flood, it now knows all the codes to the ship, everything.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So it becomes collective knowledge of the
Yes.
Flood. Oof.
Now the combat forms of that Flood, of which the Gravemind is, now controlling, of those like infection forms, and now the combat forms, which are essentially conformed human bodies or alien bodies or whatever. They bestow the
Yeah.
knowledge of the weapons, door codes, computers, whatever. They can even infect computers. It's not just an organic infection.
Really?
Yeah. They're a problem.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
I like that
Um,
element.
so when it comes to that, yeah, they're like a big, big issue. Um,
A little bit.
so like the Gravemind, which is where the Hive Mind Collective is made, that's kind of like where all the infection forms come from, is the
Okay.
Gravemind. So the Gravemind is like the entire intelligence into one. And it's just been bodies of whatever molded into one creature.
Ew, one giant biomass.
Yeah.
So this storied franchise with I will admit sounds like lore I should try to get a little bit more into because it's right up my kind of alley.
Oh,
It
Halo's
has
awesome.
it has a different kind of infection now taking it over. And
Mhm.
I would say an opponent that is perhaps even more dangerous to the Master Chief and to the forces of Earth and the universe he exists within, because it's now being governed and controlled going forward by a group of people who it's questionable whether or not they have the best interests of the Chief and his fellow Spartans and his fellow human beings in
Yeah,
mind.
that's Oni that you're thinking of. If I'm not geez, I can't talk. If I'm not mistaken, it's either Oni. Well, you got Oni, and then there's UNSC, but like UNSC's pretty questionable themselves.
Okay. But what I mean to say is that the folks at 343 are rebranding themselves as Halo Studios.
Oh, yeah, that infection.
Now,
Oh boy.
run me through this. Bungie was the original developers and publishers of Halo, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did 343 get involved?
That was right around the time when Halo Reach was coming out.
Okay.
Because ODST was the last Bungie game, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Now, if we know anything about video game developers and studios, we should look historically at another example that could have given a little bit of warning. Whenever you have a game studio that is, its call sign is a set of numbers, you tend to have problems. If anybody remembers the 989 Studios sports games of the late 90s, early 2000s,
989 Studios.
Those buggy, glitchy pieces of shit corrupting my memory cards. Fuck
hold
you,
on,
99.
Hold on. You can't be saying about Siphon Filter now.
Okay. I did specify the sports titles.
Okay.
989 Studios
That's
sports
fine.
titles. Oh my God, they were shit. They were trash. I'm so glad I only ever bought 2 of them when I was younger.
I was about to say, don't be talking about Siphon Filter now.
No, Siphon Filter is actually kind of a classic action game that even I enjoyed the first one. I never played 2 or 3.
There were 3 of them. There was a trilogy, and then afterward, they came up. They had Mega Strain for PS2, and then it turned into PSP games after that.
They had PSP titles too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 989 Studios, I had NFL Game Day 2, which, what was I thinking? And then I had 989 Studios NHL Face Off 01. And it was while I was in the middle of playing through my season with the Rangers, and I'd only lost like two games throughout my season. I got into the postseason, went to load up my game one day, and it said, "Error, cannot read memory card." So I popped open the lid of my PlayStation, and I went to do the memory card scan. Data corrupted. I'm like, motherfucker, I knew it was that game. Because it was the only thing I had played for like 2 weeks straight. God damn it. Anyway, I had to go back through and like redo my whole playthrough of Xenogears and Wild Arms and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So not the most terrible thing because I loved those games. Yeah. But still, such a pain in the ass. And I only had I had a couple of months to play through these games before I was getting ready to graduate from high school and go off into the military. That didn't turn out great. But the point being, fuck you, 989. Sorry. Proceed. But yeah, whenever you have a studio with numbers in its title, you have to exercise a little caution.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. I mean, I was pretty afraid of like hearing that too, because I heard Halo Studios, and I'm like, okay. But I mean, that wasn't really the first thing that I'd seen. I'd seen the, if I'm not mistaken, was it the CEO that had like extremely colored hair and whatnot?
Yeah. There are a few tells, red flags that folks who are involved in hobbies in the nerddom collectively, we've become pretty astute at picking out, okay, this person or these people are probably going to be a problem for the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us who just want to enjoy our entertainment and our hobbies. I recall clearly when Jacob Lerner became the chief art director at Wizards of the Coast for the Dungeons and Dragons supplemental guides and online art gallery. I remember reading his CV and his credentials and thinking, oh, this guy comes from a long and storied history of tabletop role-playing games. He had been there in the early days of West End Games for the D6 Star Wars system. He had worked on Chill. He had worked on Call of Cthulhu. So he had a good history of working with tabletop RPGs. Then I saw his bio picture on LinkedIn, and I thought, oh, the alarm bells are going off.
Oh, boy.
Fucking 2 piercings on each side of his nostril, the septum ring. He had a streak of blue hair, a streak of white hair, and a streak of pink hair. So he had his head was basically Neapolitan ice cream piled up on his skull.
So a whole ass clown, basically.
Yes, okay. And he had a lip ring in the corner of his lip on a loop, or on a fucking hoop, and a chain that ran to his right earlobe.
Oh, God.
The first thought that entered my head was, dude, if you ever pissed somebody off in real life, all they'd have to do is grab and yank, and you are bleeding and screeching like a bitch on the ground.
Dude, I know somebody who had gauges and that happened. Mm-hmm. They took, oh my God. They took a finger, just a finger, and just yanked them, dude. No, I mean, they ripped it out.
Oh,
it was God. Fucked up, bro.
Now, that was red flag number 1, was just that image of him.
But like, you're right, yeah.
It's like he was like looking at the male equivalent of the modern day Alyssa Mercante. Like, oh, fuck, okay.
And, you know, that's the problem is, like, the thing about that, like you were just saying, is, like, it's not the fact that we want to look at these people and be like, yeah, you're a problem. It's just, that's just how it is.
Right.
It's just there.
It's pattern recognition. Look, Don't blame me for the way that humans have evolved. We evolved as visual creatures to recognize certain visual markers and patterns of behavior and activity in the world in which we reside. Jordan Peterson and Eric Weinstein have both talked about this. One of them a psychologist, one of them a evolutionary biologist. They've explained that in our primitive step back from our current state, we came to recognize movement in the underbrush as a sign of potential danger because of serpents and insects that were venomous, that scuttled around or slithered on the ground, and that movement set us off to jump and lean back or lean away. We also learned in various parts of Africa and the sub-Saharan regions that a brightly or neon-colored toad typically was venomous, and it couldn't be eaten because we would keel over and die as our insides turned into liquid shit, and we would poop ourselves to death. We learned through evolution, don't trust these markers of movement and signage. So when some freakazoid with these or them pronouns in their LinkedIn profile shows up with that same kind of toad neon in their hair and has more tattoos than a snake has scales, I tend to wonder because I recognize patterns.
And that's a problem, like you were just saying, is like, when it comes to people like that have the colorful hair, piercings, and what have you, and they're involved in any sort of developer team or any sort of entertainment for that matter, there's always a pattern of there's obviously going to be change, and not the change we want.
Nope. It's a pattern of, it's a visual pattern and it's a behavioral pattern.
Yep.
And we're getting more and more astute. And by the way, the worst group of people in terms of what form of entertainment you can do this to are gamers, because we grew up and we have learned to recognize behavioral patterns in games. That's what they're predicated upon. Does that seem like a good group of people to target and think you can get away with it? Now, for a while, they have. And that's much to
For
our
a while.
Yeah, they did for too long.
Yeah, longer than it should have been.
And
like right now, I don't want to change the subject, but I'm even looking at a video right now. I guess the She-Hulk actress is suing Marvel Studios and Ryan Reynolds.
yes, she is. I read about that a little bit
Are you
yesterday.
fucking kidding me right now?
Yeah, she wants to go after them for I think it's defamation and breach of contract. Now, the breach of contract area, that might be something that if I'm reading correctly into the specifics of her deal, she may have some ground there to go after Disney, because there was an expectation that if the series was picked up for a second season, she would be compensated X, Y, and Z. But in the event it was terminated and not continued, that there would be no compensation. However, if the character, as portrayed by her, was referred to in future Disney Marvel presentations, that she would be owed compensation. That might be a small sliver of a legal argument that she could make.
Yeah.
Maybe. But
But I mean,
defamation?
Ryan Reynolds, though, really?
Yeah, that's dude, that's more of a reach than fucking Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, well, what does she hope to get out of that?
I imagine what she hopes to get out of it is to score some kind of, quote, moral victory.
What, sorry and some money?
Right, a Pyrrhic victory, if anything, because now anyone who considers casting her in the future is going to say, wait a minute, this bitch is a problem. If things don't go her way, she's going to cause more trouble for us in the back end than she's worth. This is a good way to jump into the Darwin Awards category to figure out whether or not you should ever get hired again. The only folks who are going to give her a chance.
I feel like you should be put on a blacklist for even remotely trying to, sue Ryan Reynolds. I'm sorry. But that is like the biggest kick in the teeth for like most of the Marvel fans that are real Marvel fans, especially for Deadpool and how well Deadpool 3 did. Like, you're that bent out of shape and that jealous because your fucking show sucked so much that even your Hulk son doesn't even look like Hulk's son and is like balding compared to Hulk.
Yeah.
And I'm not even making that up. Like, hold on. There's a literal picture of this shit too.
Sure.
Hold on. Where is it at? Yeah, I just found it. Look at this shit, man.
Okay.
Oh. What the fuck is that?
Is that what's his son's name? Scar?
Something. But I mean, what is that fucking haircut?
That's a Norwood Reaper, brother. That's a receding hairline.
I mean, what the fuck?
It looks like a really badly applied skull cap, is what it looks like.
What is that?
I don't know. That's piss poor CGI and makeup. I have nothing I can really say on that.
And you even look at fucking, Hulk here. He looks more like a fatter green Bruce Banner than Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not good.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? And you wonder why your show fucking tanked. And that's not even, not even the fact of watching She-Hulk twerk in a lawyer suit.
Yeah. I made the mistake of putting myself through the aggravation of trying to watch the first 2 episodes of that thing.
I couldn't bring myself to watch it. I won't watch it.
I'm not very familiar with the character from the comics, which is why I was willing to give it a little bit more of a chance than I might normally have.
Back scuba.
Whenever I'm not very familiar with the source material, I'm willing to give something that's an adaptation. I'm willing to give it a shot because I want to give it the chance to say, hey, if you enjoyed this, there's something even better in the source material, because that 90% of the time turns out to be the case. And after suffering through 2 episodes of that shit, I went online and I found some old issues of Avengers comics that had She-Hulk in them. I also went and read a couple of her short run issues, and she was an amusing character. She was an intriguing character on her own. What I particularly like is that the original She-Hulk apparently was self-aware that she was one of the early Marvel characters to breach the fourth wall. And it was her personal hypothesis as a character that she was a character in a comic book. I found that interesting to learn. Because like, okay, you've got a character who existed before Deadpool, who broke the fourth wall before he was even a thing. Interesting. And her character would make these little quips and side jokes now and again to imply that she was aware of what was going on, either in the next couple of pages, or she would make a joke about the artist or writer on that issue. And people would be like, what? What are you talking about? And she'd just kind of blow it off like, never mind. I'm just running off the mouth. There usually wasn't a heavy-handed punchline at the back end. But this made me think, okay, maybe that explains why they tried doing that shit in the show. But it was carried off so haphazardly and so unamusingly that I just left with this foul taste in my mouth. Like, wait, you had something that was really kind of good in the source material, something I could have really got behind, and you butchered it. For what? Why?
Yeah. I'm looking at the chief of staff for Halo Studios.
Oh, that woman.
Yeah.
That thing.
Melissa Boone.
Yep, got the flag in her profile and her bio and everything.
Yeah, that.
You bring it up on screen. Now,
good God.
I would like. Do you have her like Twitter bio or anything that you can share up on screen?
Hold on. I can bring that all up.
Yeah, because that's what folks I think really need to get a good hard look at.
Chief of staff at 343 Industries, she, her, Rainbow. Okay. Opinions are my own.
Boom. Right there. For my liking, you're disqualified. Done.
Mm-hmm.
You are working in the video game industry. Oh my God, right there too. The customer base for video games is predominantly, and this is proven out in sales, it's proven out in performance metrics, it's proven out in everything that has been examined when it comes to the customer base of video games. It's mostly men. It's mostly men between the ages of 15 and 40. And it's mostly folks who just want to enjoy the game. We don't want to be lectured to. We don't want to be told we're horrible people and have somebody slip their hand into our bank account or wallet and demand our patronage like we're some kind of pathetic, snarling, sniveling, groveling pay pigs. Do these people not understand that what they make is... Sorry.
There's your favorite, there's your buddy.
Who's that? Alyssa Mercante. Oh, God. I'm so glad that the guy who was the CEO of Moon Studios paid to this cunt yet again.
I gotta
look. If you care more, they don't even have a thesis, a rallying cry, or a point. They're literally just being bigots. Read the comments at your own peril. They're fucking disgusting. This is the community they have built. I want you... This is the total lack of self-awareness. If anyone is watching this and is able to or inclined to pass this snippet, this clip on to Alyssa Mercante, let her hear this loud and fucking clear. What you said there in that previous post is a prime example of the fact that you do not have any self-awareness, even regarding the self-selected Marxist nonsense and numpty dipshittery that you indulge in and adhere to like a hug pillow, because God knows no one else wants to get close enough to you because they're going to have to get an STI test right away. You say that this is the community they've built. They are a community, and you're the fucking invader. Get out! We didn't ask for you. We don't want you. If that has not pierced your fucking skull by now, unlike the septum ring and the other numerous piercings you've got throughout your body, including the one that's probably rusting away in your flaccid, torrid little fucking labia, understand this. If we saw you walking down the street with your head on fire, we wouldn't piss on you to put you out. We'd point and laugh, and some would probably grab sticks, marshmallows, and graham crackers, and then realize, oh, I don't want s'mores that have been cooked with herpes smoke coming up off of it. We don't want you. It's our community. We, as you say, built it. You are a guest, and you are only allowed in because you wormed your way in like the slithering little fucking serpent that you are.
God damn. Oh, shit. I had to give you your spotlight right there.
The hate that she's talking about building up, yeah, it is building up in folks like myself towards this cunt.
And cunts just like her.
Watch the hate build in real time on this one. None of what 343, now Halo Studios, announced has anything to do with DEI, but these bottom-feeding grifters immediately begat show more. I don't need to see more. How can you sit there and say it has nothing to do with DEI?
Well, explain this to me. How does she got 330 fucking hearts on that post?
Because X/Twitter still is populated by a whole lot of NPC zombies who haven't got enough brain cells clacking together in their syphilis-riddled skulls to recognize that this whore of Babylon is nothing more than the one of the horse things of the apocalypse. I wouldn't say horsemen, but she does have tits and a clit, which she has used to earn herself a living before she became a urinalist. And we know that that's true because she said herself on numerous occasions she used to be a sex worker. By the way, Mercante, how's that lawsuit on Smash JT coming along? Suck it. Actually, don't. I don't want a disease.
Yeah, I hope she fucking loses that.
There was so much potential to this woman, too. And I've mentioned that before. That she clearly has demonstrated that she has the chops to be a decent writer. If she would focus less on pushing a fucking leftist agenda and focus on the facts.
Yeah.
God. By the way, because
That's
I
a
know
horrible fucking picture of her.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Because I know that she and her crowd like to dox drop people. My real name's Joshua T. Calkins Truergy. I live in southern Minnesota,
There you
just
go.
outside of the Twin Cities. You are a piece of shit.
That is the worst picture I've ever seen of her. Oh my god.
What is she even going for there?
I don't know. She's got this fucked up ghost looking tattoo on her arm.
Maybe it's the haunting specter of all the dicks she's had up in her.
Yeah, it's just the rotten cum rag.
Also known as her flesh.
Oh man.
Oh, Josh, you're such a misogynist.
Yeah, Scubus. The
I'm
fuck is
willing
that?
I'm willing to apply this kind of screed to anyone who takes after this woman or who takes up with her ilk. By the way, as I was saying, I don't care if these kinds of folks want to try and put me under the bus. I'm just a regular guy. I got nothing to lose here on YouTube.
Yeah, I gotta play this. Hold up.
Sure thing.
Brother, Matt, what's that, brother?
Oh man.
It's the perfect reaction too, because that's the sort of fellow who, if you follow their ideology, they'd have thrown her off a roof a long time ago. Hey, that's job security for a street sweeper. Anyway.
Yeah. That's just, I don't know, man. You know, that's another thing I kind of noticed when we were looking at the Halo Studios, like when they were talking about 343 becoming Halo Studios. Why
Yeah.
is it all women?
Is it?
It's almost all women that I've seen that they've shown off.
Now, look, I'm willing to try and find, because I don't want to be one of these people who just sits and stews in my anger and my negativity all the time. I want to try and see if there's some thread, some minuscule thread of redemption available in any and all of these projects, any of these organizations moving forward. I don't necessarily want to see them fail and die just out of sheer spite. I'd like them to do better. I don't care if they exist. I care if they're doing harm. That's the problem.
Chris Matthews, take one. Mark. This is Casey Wu, take one. Mark.
I was told that I can just be my authentic self, Chris.
For 6 years, I don't want to be in front of a camera.
There's so much to do and so much fun to be had when you play Halo that
Pause.
you never run out of things to do.
I'm really tired of hearing people say, I just want to be my authentic self, who then turn around and tell everyone else who's being their authentic selves and flipping them the bird that they're not allowed to be their authentic selves.
Mm-hmm.
This is my truth. No, cunt, there is one truth. It's the observable reality we all share and live in together. You're a piece of shit. Get in the toilet, reach up, flush yourself. We're done with you.
I do?
I love intricate stories that take place across lots of different worlds.
No, you love intricate stories that involve DEI bullshit. And if it doesn't have DEI bullshit, you get on Twitter and bitch about it.
I only have one positive note here. I like the shape of those glasses. I like that kind of thin, rounded frame. I will say it works out with her chubby ass cheeks, because I'm sure the other intricate thing that she loves is the intricacies of Big Mac special sauce.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. Like many things that we've discussed as far as like warning labels and what have you, those glasses in particular are another warning sign. I don't know what it is, but everyone that I've seen that is for all this DEI bullshit wear those same exact glasses, if not close to them.
I'm gonna push back only a little bit on you for that.
I'm
Yes,
sorry, but that's what I see.
in most fields, probably, but I do know, having talked to a number of my colleagues in genre fiction, that a lot of guys and gals, both authors of both sexes, because there's only two, wear the larger rounded glasses like that. I like the look of them. I just appreciate it.
That's fair, but still.
But that's also because most of us have terrible eyesight from spending years and years with our noses in a fucking book.
A book or a screen.
Either or.
I just ate a chicken patty. What the fuck?
Worlds have lots.
There was another person that looked like Gus Fring from Breaking Bad. I think it was Sweet Baby Inc.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Oh,
That's good, brother.
give me a second.
Do it. Do it.
Oh god. Oh god. Tell me I don't look like.
Oh my god, yes. It's fucking
Don't tell
big.
me
Oh my god.
Tell me I don't look like
Oh
Gus
my
Fring from Breaking Bad.
God. This insufferable piece of human waste. I sat through a 46-minute presentation. Are you familiar with the VTuber Kershey?
I think so.
Okay. She did a kind of a breakdown on that piece of shit's fucking entire little video lecture. And what it was talking about.
Look at me, everyone. Look at me.
That thing that you had on screen there,
Oh, damn.
Gus lookalike. I sat and suffered through the entirety of its presentation, talking about this thing. Talking about, well, why am I here? You're here for our perpetual amusement.
Oh, fuck.
You are here to show us exactly how not to be a storyteller, how not to actually give a shit about constructing a cohesive narrative that can actually be adhered to in the classical scriptures and structures of narrative, how to quote unquote queer the fiction. The original, and can we try to reclaim our English fucking language? The word queer is supposed to mean weird. It's supposed to mean out of the ordinary, bizarre, strange, not normal. You obviously, sir, ma'am, whatever. Like, can we do the gonzo and just say whatever?
Oh, shit.
Peak nose, septum ring wearing piece of trash. Queer is supposed to mean out of the ordinary, the weird, the bizarre, the strange, and possibly dangerous. I again refer you to human evolution. We understand the patterns that these kinds of people will destroy everything they touch. Gus loves himself some good chicken. This thing looks like it's never seen protein in its life.
Except the liquid kind.
Except for maybe whatever it can suck out of the nearest pink flesh hose.
Oh, fuck.
I don't want to always be angry. I don't. But I can't help it when these are the people who are controlling the cultural products that are available to us as a consumer base. Now look, I haven't purchased a brand new game in a long time. The newest game I have purchased was Yakuza Like a Dragon. That's a couple of years old now. I'm perpetually behind the times for several reasons, none of which really matter. Just suffice to say that I'm not always up to date, and I don't always have access to the newest thing when it comes to available games. I am not unusual when it comes to the potential client base for video games. There are lots of people who have to budget both their time and their financial resources in order to purchase games. So why would you go out of your way to ensure that by the time I'm thinking about buying your new title, I've had enough exposure to people who are cultural product critics, analysts, and just everyday gamers who don't have the constraints that I have? Why would you give them the opportunity and the time to inform me that, hey, this is a piece of shit? Oh, don't worry. I don't even have to go to those people. I can take one look at these fuckers and realize I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
mute
don't
my
know,
mic.
man.
I feel like I've been dominating the conversation. Sorry.
No, I was just almost fucking lightheaded over here, dude. Just laughing at this shit. Because it's a clown show, man. It's an utter clown show. And they wonder why they don't get taken seriously, you know? It's just...
You know, there's people who've tried to say that, you know, the video games industry is approaching a free fall point, that it's going to collapse in on itself and burn apart like it did back in the 80s. And that'll be it, and that there'll be like a renaissance or a resurgence. And there are some folks who are accelerationists who are like, you know what, fuck it, let it all burn down. Let's get this party started. Let's nuke the whole thing and we'll start fresh.
Yeah.
I understand that perspective in moments of anger. But there's a part of me that sits back and holds back from that desire for one reason. You can't always start over. Sometimes the destruction of a particular thing or way of life or facet of our day-to-day experiences is so far gone that there is no recovering from it. There is no coming back. There is no bringing it back. There's no resurrection for it. Obviously, various art forms are going to have their small deaths and their returns to prominence. We've seen it in comic books. We've seen it in film. We've seen it in television. We've seen it in video games. But much like the Gallifreyans, the Time Lords of Doctor Who, you don't know how many times these things can be regenerated and keep coming back.
Yeah.
They may ultimately get replaced, left to the dustbin of history. What then?
Well, I can't really say video gaming is going to go anywhere, because there's a lot of games that are coming out now, especially that are going against that woke grain.
That's
And,
good to know.
like, there is hope, That's the good part, at least, is like Space Marine 2 would probably be that very beacon of hope.
Right. Space Marine 2, Black Myth Wukong.
Black Myth Wukong, yep.
People like me, Metal Slug Tactics.
Mm-hmm. Lots of different ones, but definitely.
I think a big part of the reason why a lot more people if they aren't familiar with the indie projects. Hi, Lily. Hello, kitty. I'm sorry I'm blowing out your sensitive furry ears with my screaming today there, Lily. But a lot of the better, more artistically gorgeous projects, they're made by smaller or indie studios. They barely get by, they barely get made, and not a whole lot of hay is made about them. Oh, the kitty.
No.
It's a shame. But I know, well, I don't know. I suspect a big part of the reason why you don't hear or read more about those games is there's a concentrated effort on the part of the video game journalist space to not cover them, because those games fly in the face of their collectively agreed upon socio-political messaging and ideology. Let me ask you, are you familiar with Bloodstained Ritual of the Moon? I think I've brought this up before.
Don't believe so.
And yes, Scuba Chudy Gatwa. I'll get to him at another time. Bloodstained Ritual of the Moon is very much a spiritual successor to Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It is a game that was kickstarted, as was as were the previous two Bloodstained games. The Bloodstained games were originally kind of fashioned as homages to the 8 and 16-bit Castlevania titles. Very much similar kind of over-the-top hokey mythology behind them too. But Ritual of the Moon was a fantastic artistic piece of game. I ultimately got it like a year after it had been released. It's so fun. The gameplay loop is just entertaining as hell. I could go back and start a new game on that any given day, and I would love it 100%. And on average, it only takes about 10 to 12 hours to go through the game and unlock damned near every secret. But randomly getting all of the soul shards, that's a whole other thing by itself, because it's such a slim chance that you're going to get all the enemy soul shards. There's a collectability kind of tag that keeps you going, but you don't have to pay for it. It's not DLC. It's not extra material that you have to pay for. It's you just got to play the game. As long as you enjoy the gameplay loop, you'll eventually get there as kind of a reward for your efforts and for your time, attention, and patronage. There wasn't a great deal of media or coverage around the game when it first came out. And even now, there still isn't, even though they keep bringing out patches and material for the game that they don't charge for. There have been like 5 updates to Ritual of the Moon, additional content that they don't charge for it. It's totally free. It's like, wait a minute. How are they able to afford to do this? Well, because they blew their funding goal completely out of the water to begin with. Rather than paying themselves exorbitant bonuses, the folks who made the game, all the money that they made that was over and above their fundraising goal, they set aside for later developments and patches, for extra content. That's how they paid to continue developing material for the game. Oh, the Lily, the kitty is ragdolled. She's like loving that. But
Deadlifts.
deadlift. But you don't see Kotaku or IGN covering that. They don't talk about that.
No.
You don't even see the bigger YouTubers who cover video games talk about the gorgeous artistic projects that have already been with us for a few years. The guy from Moon Studios, the CEO, who recently came back into prominence because once again, Alyssa Mercante couldn't keep her fucking nose out of other people's business. This small game.
Oh, not only that,
developer, but
I don't think many gentlemen could keep themselves out of Alyssa Mercante either. So
it's a black hole.
yeah.
But some women had been on social media kind of bragging about their involvement in the video game industry. And on her profile were a couple of pictures of the cover art for the Ori games. Ori Spirit of the Mists, or I can't remember. I own both of the Ori games. I should know this. God damn. But they're gorgeous. And the gameplay loops on these wonderfully rendered and drawn Metroidvanias are just fantastic. The art direction, the gameplay loop, it's so wonderful and it's enchanting. The story, there's not a whole lot of actual text. There's no talking, there's no dialogue, but the visual storytelling is wonderfully portrayed and carried off in just the most beautifully artistic manner. But this woman tried kind of implying that she had been involved in the development of the Ori games, and the CEO of Moon Studios responded to her on Twitter saying, "Hey, I made the Ori games. Who are you? I don't know you." And she clarified, "Well, I didn't, I worked with Xbox, development of properties and interaction, interface development and whatnot." He's like, "Oh, okay. I just wanted to know, my mistake. I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but I see you coming on here and calling people names and denigrating gamers. And I just want to let people know that you are in no way, shape, or form have ever worked with Moon Studios." Like, it was kind of a polite little slap upside the head. Like, "Hey, bitch, I don't want to be associated with you. Don't try to imply that you ever had anything to do with my artistic vision." And who should come swooping in to put in her 2 fucking cents? Alyssa Mercante.
I was about to say the Mercante.
And she just said, "Hey, you're a dickhead." To which the guy, he in a very polite and professionally worded way, he unloaded on her with a wall of text that was just mwah, chef's kiss. Basically putting her in her place. And he signed it, "Dickhead." It's like, lady, you want to call me names? You want to come after me? Let's take a look at your work history.
Right.
Anyone who tries to make a living as a critic of an art form, I think, should be compelled to try creating an example of that art form after they've spent a little time building up an audience as a critic. I'd like to see Alyssa Mercante make an indie game. I would. She's got the money. She's got the resources. She's got contacts in the industry. Let's see her make a game. Somebody, please take me up on this.
Let's see her do anything in the gaming industry that involves work.
Yes. Let's see her make a game. You know
See
what?
them production skills come to work.
Yes, I would love to see any of these freaks of nature put together a crowdfunder for her. We'll call it the Alyssa Mercante Project as a working title. And she can crowdfund for it off of Kickstarter because God knows. There you go,
Get that
Scuba.
crowdfunding with that Hawk Tua.
Here's the thing. You know as well as I do that Kickstarter would completely greenlight whatever project she decided to make because they're a bunch of fringe lefty lunatics too. And this is one of their own kind of audience members, the kind of people they cater to, hat in hand. So you know they're not going to cancel or shut down or block her campaign.
Not
So
at
go
all.
ahead, Alyssa. Go ahead and crowdfund a game. Build your own video game. I don't care who you use as your writing staff. Go ahead and pay out the exorbitant fee of $7 to $8 million to your friends at Sweet Baby Stink. Kim Belair, I'm sure, is looking for a handout these days since everybody else in the industry is running away from her like she is a wildfire, and they are small, furry woodland critters who recognize, oh shit, that's the touch of death. Her and her people are going to need a handout pretty soon. So go ahead, crowdfund so that you can consult with Sweet Baby Stink. I don't care if they don't even announce their presence on the project. You know why? I'm going to assume that they're going to be involved somehow anyway. Why? Because that's what you collectivist, Marxist dipshits all end up doing. You get together in your little covens and you try to hex the rest of us into purchasing your shit like slaves. And when it fails, because it will, we'll all have a good laugh.
That, or they'll just take an IP and try to rearrange it to their narrative.
Oh, no. That's part of the challenge. That's something that I'm going to establish as an a priori condition. If she sets up a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter to create her own brand new, unique, original intellectual property, I'll even kick in $50. I'll say it right now. Hold me to it. Mercante, you start a crowdfunded video game of your own. I'll throw in $50. And guess what? I'm a nobody who just works a regular day job. But I won't buy a copy of your shit.
Yeah. To me, when it comes to like Alyssa Mercante and all these other journalists, you know, I almost feel like none of them have actually played a game, or at least they haven't played a game in a long time to know what it is to play a video game and what players want in a video game. I feel like it's just okay, I'm gonna write this novel on why men are bigots in every form and fashion, and they shouldn't enjoy any form of entertainment because they're bigots. You know.
That's what a lot of it seems to boil down to. I'm sure that there's some few. It's kind of like I feel about a lot of different video game studios and developers, much as I felt when you and I were analyzing the Fallout show. There's got to be a small handful of folks who really are dedicated to the art. But
yeah, I mean, I would hope so.
There's so few though, and they probably are operating under the threat of they have to do this work for stuff they don't like because there's no other work being made for them.
Yeah.
Or being made available to them.
Yeah, but I mean, that also kind of comes into play though. Like that's also kind of their fault because it's like they took the work anyway. You know, to me, it's like having this canvas that you're getting ready to paint, and somebody just stick their finger in their ass and they wipe it right on the canvas and say, "There you go, get to it."
Gruesome, but I can
But I mean,
see what you're talking
am I
about.
wrong though?
No, you're not wrong.
But it's like, to me, the artists themselves should be like, no, get me a new canvas and let me do my own thing.
Right. You would hope that there's gonna come a point where the folks who are talented and don't want to be enslaved to these message first people, you gotta wonder, where's the breaking point gonna come?
Right.
Where they decide en masse to say, you know what? This is not, the paycheck's not worth my integrity.
That's what I'm saying though, is like, that's what it comes down to is, am I gonna, my kitten's literally like being a menace at the moment, but anyhow, that's what it boils down to is like, are you gonna just sit there and let this take form or in shape? Like, are you just, my whole thing is like I was saying before, you have a canvas. I can't even say it with a straight face, but you have a canvas and somebody.
Yeah, they stick their finger in their ass and wipe it on the canvas and go, "There's your paint. Draw me a masterpiece."
Yeah, and like expect a fucking Picasso. It's like, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, you could turn that down and start something new.
Better yet, they can produce a Picasso. Ha!
More like a shit Picasso, but
Yeah, no, because they pick the asshole.
yeah,
Picasso.
or that.
Wordplay.
There was another thing I wanted to bring up that we were talking about before.
Sure.
Well, we haven't brought it up, but I wanted to bring it up. Was I heard that I guess there was going to be an unveiling of a trans clone trooper. That's what Disney's gone with now.
Yes.
What the fuck is that all about?
The situation is worse than you are aware of at this point.
Oh God!
This
Why?
This is what it is Disney Star Wars is putting out a storybook that is going to be from the High Republic, obviously, dealing with a clone trooper who is trans, and the book is being written for and marketed to 4 to 9-year-olds. It's a
Jesus fucking
children's,
Christ, bro.
It's a Star Wars children's storybook about the clone troopers. Now, if anyone wants to try and sit there and say, we're not targeting children, no, you obviously are. It's a storybook being told from the perspective of Commander Rex. Talking about,
oh boy,
yes,
we just take a fan favorite character to point the interest to.
Yep.
That's not very much of an interest.
Now, I don't know that I haven't read it. I haven't read any of the material yet, other than a brief synopsis. It's going to be a storybook that's kind of Commander Rex talking a little bit about the backstories of several of the soldiers in his unit. That's the entirety of this storybook. It's to introduce kids to Commander Rex's unit for further stories to be developed for this age group, for this audience, to get them into Star Wars. They're trying to build up a new generation of Star Wars fans, quote unquote.
Well, hold on. Okay. Hold that thought.
Sure.
So This is going to be a trans clone trooper. Are we missing the fact of what a clone is, or the definition of what a clone is?
Thank you. I didn't. But then again, I have more than 4 brain cells to knock around in my skull.
Like, are we not aware of the process of replication?
Of what?
Of replication? Of
Yeah,
recreating a fucking clone of something or somebody?
Right. They're going to ignore the actual scientific basis for cloning, which is you are creating a genetic copy of the original.
Right.
But no, they're going to have Rex clarify in the text that we called her sister so that she would know she regardless of how she identifies, she belongs.
That's not a clone, though.
That's a defective clone.
Yeah,
in any other science fiction material or property,
biotube mutation clone.
she'd be thrown in the meat grinder.
Yeah, they would get rid of it.
Stamped with a great big defective.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. I don't want anyone to think for a moment that is me endorsing that behavior or treatment of trans persons. Okay, take your it's a Holocaust, it's an endemic. Fuck off. Okay, this is not a genocide of your people. By the way, you want to keep ignoring biological reality, you bunch of numpty pricks? Do you not realize that the only reason that you physically exist with thoughts in your brain is that a sperm and an egg met up? Oh yeah. You can't get 2 sperm to collide and create a human life. You can't get 2 eggs to collide and create a human life. You need a sperm and an egg. You need the binary.
Except in the Acolyte, according to that, you can have 2 witches scissor each other.
I can't. All right. All kidding aside. All kidding and burning out aside.
The RB flat friction.
Megan
the curtain meeting.
She's running with scissoring.
Oh, if you heard what I said, the curtain meeting.
Yeah, I heard it. I don't like what was unveiled afterwards when the curtains or drapes were drawn back. Oh.
Yeah.
So anywho, yes, this book is being aimed at 5 to 9-year-olds to try and the word choice on the part of the folks at Disney's marketing department really was poor. They said, we're looking to induct new fans into the material.
Induct new fans.
That sounds an awful lot like indoctrinate there, buddy. Choose your words more wisely, please. So anyhow, besides the fact that we've got a beloved fan favorite character being bent over the barrel and shoved into like a cordwainer with a wood fetish, Cooper.
This is the picture I keep seeing about this.
I forgot. Cordwainers were shoemakers. Coopers were the ones who made barrels and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep seeing this picture get brought up.
That is the promotional image, and they got the whole, trans flag colors behind her. Let me ask.
Wait a minute. Is that canon with the fucking coloring?
That's what they're going with. That's what they're going with.
Oh my fucking god!
Her uniform, her armor is going to have the coloring on it. Now, how
god!
In a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago, does current day modern sociopolitics, imaging, and messaging end up out there in the galaxy? Can you explain that to me? Can you tell me how this isn't a complete middle finger in the faces of anyone who wants their entertainment separated from real world politics? Oh, we're not trying to indoctrinate. We're not trying to be overt with our messaging. Horse shit. I couldn't be more overt with my messaging if I rammed a fucking cross into the face of anyone and everyone who bought a copy of any of my books. All right? It's impossible to separate these things for these people. They have to put their ideology first and foremost.
Yeah, I
can't
think
just
I'd rather
create a
see
new
these
story.
kinds of clone troopers than that shit.
Republic Commandos, man. Let these guys come through and sweep this abomination off into the dustbin of history.
Yeah, that is wow. I didn't know they were actually gonna like bring in the color scheme along with it. Like that is fucking
Yep.
wow.
I'm sorry. What else do you want us to say? How are we supposed to look at this and not assume that you are using it as an indoctrination tool, a propaganda tool? How is there any other way to look at this?
That's just you're gonna accept it and you're gonna like it type of messaging there.
That's exactly what it is. It's this is what you have. It's all we're offering you. You get nothing else. If you want to introduce your own children to Star Wars, this is what's going to be put in front of them. No, it's not. I got a news flash for these people. I'm a parent. What my children see, I determine what they see. If they want a book, I determine if they get that book. I have the power of the wallet. And if I don't want my kids to be introduced to Star Wars this way, that's not how they're going to be introduced to it. Newsflash, I may not want them bothering with Star Wars at this point. My 11-year-old, she finally sat down and watched the original trilogy with me last year. And she loved
come
it.
on, why not something like this? You know what I mean? Like,
right? Like, okay,
that looks fucking cool to me.
right? And like, you can tell from the hips, from the kind of flare of the battle dress cloak that it's supposed to be shaped kind of like a skirt. Perfectly okay with that. I have no
Right.
qualms. That trooper is clearly a badass because she's still just standing there opening fire while getting shot at.
Or something like that, you know what I mean?
Dude, is that a laser minigun?
Yeah, they have blaster Gatling guns.
Oh, dude,
They're called
I love
rotary cannons.
Rotary cannon. I love that.
Yep.
That's a good image, man.
That's the 501st.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Like this is actually good shit. Look, the property isn't beyond saving, but the people who are currently in charge of it, they can't save it. They're just going to continue to condemn it.
And that's the thing, man, is it's just getting worse and worse each time they try to put something out.
Well, at what point is someone going to... At what point are we allowed to point out that, hey, you need to hand this off to somebody who actually gives a shit?
Right.
Like people like myself are never going to get within a stone's throw of being allowed to work on Star Wars. I've made a couple of fan fiction stories regarding Star Wars, but there's no way in hell that anything I have created within the framework of Star Wars will be allowed to come near the folks at LucasArts or Lucasfilm. For one, I don't have the connections. For two, I don't have the professional history that they would be interested in. I'm a semi-pro, and I don't have an agent, and I'm a nobody. But I would love the opportunity to work on Star Wars, to try and save it.
Yeah.
But I have no influence. I've read some stories on fanfiction.net and from AO3. 90% of the material that is fanfiction regarding Star Wars, it's all exactly what you would expect. It's the same kind of shipping and slash fiction and LMNOP HDMI fucking community kind of horse shit.
HDMI.
I'm sorry. I call them the Alphabet Mafia, the Rainbow Mafia,
Yeah.
the LMNOP, HDMI crowd. 90% of the material that's written as fan fiction within Star Wars framework is exactly that. It's more about the message. It's more sociopolitical horse shit that stems from the ideological far left. You don't see pieces from people who are just doing classic Star Wars actually get any traction. They're not allowed to stick around. They're hounded and heckled from dawn to dusk and told, you're toxic, you're poisonous, you're awful because you're not doing X, Y, Z with our people that we want to see.
Exhibit out here pimping battleships. Yeah, pretty much.
Because you've got the people who are in control of the property have no interest in going back to what made Star Wars an amazing property, an amazing franchise to work within. Timothy Zahn, the guy who wrote the Heir to the Empire trilogy and created Thrawn, I'm sorry, they don't want to work with him. They don't want to work with him. This guy created Mara Jade. He created Wild Cards. He created Thrawn. And they don't.
I really like Throne.
Yeah. And they don't.
He's such a good villain.
The folks at Lucasfilm, the Star Wars story group, has come out and said flat out they won't work with Timothy Zahn. Are you kidding me? The guy, if it weren't for the Heir to the Trilogy books, after the original trilogy finished its run in theaters, without Heir to the Empire books, I don't think Star Wars would have ever come back.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been enough support for it to make a return for the prequel films. I'm sorry, it just wouldn't have. To have that kind of staying power, you need to have supplemental material to keep people engaged, or you have to have such a rabidly devoted fan base that they will come back when they hear something new is coming. And they had both. They had fans of the supplemental material and the rabid diehards who never bothered with the books come back for the prequel films. And Lucas, he lucked out that way. But now, with Disney in control of the property, you've got people who came into Star Wars as recently as the Knights of the Old Republic games, who had no real background in fandom for Star Wars, who found the mythology fascinating because of those games. And those games, their mythology was based on the original mythology. They understood the assignment. These people nowadays, they have no clue, and they don't care.
It's not that they don't have a clue; they just don't. They don't care. That's not what they're going after. It's message first, content last, and very little of content, if that.
Right, and clearly, look, George Lucas talked about on numerous occasions how the original trilogy was heavily based upon Arthurian mythology and folklore. And Arthurian folklore had its premises largely couched and based in Greek mythology, in Judeo-Christian mythology, and in some Sumerian mythology and legendarium. He understood those source mythos and stories and the messages and lessons that were supposed to be imparted by them. And he used those as reflection points to build his own canon, his own material. Without any kind of respect given or homage given to the actual source lore, how can you possibly hope to renovate and recreate it if you ignore everything that came beforehand. It's like trying to build a house without pouring the foundation first. The first time a big windstorm comes through, you're dead. Sorry, you'll be sitting down eating breakfast in your kitchen. The house will collapse and you'll get crushed under your queen-size bed. This is what's going to happen. And for this crowd, oh my God, the number of sex toys they'll probably find in the aftermath.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it kind of blows me away the fact that I don't know how you can honestly sit there and say you're a fan of any intellectual property or even go as far as trying to pick up from that and then make something into a new image for an ideology and be like, yeah, well, we got Star Wars in the name, but this is what we really want you to see.
Yeah, we got the Star Wars that was ordered off a Wish.
Yeah. We got the Star Wars that we picked up from the flea market.
With these people at the helm, who knows what else you might pick up. Ugh.
Yeah. It's just, it's insane.
It puts me in mind too. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, it's insane to sit there and think like you're actually doing something with the property when all you're doing is pissing off the original fans of the property itself.
Yeah. And they don't care about those original fans. I wonder how much of that is down to, well, those original fans, they don't have the expendable funds that they used to have. We're not going to profit off of them. Like, is that a consideration for these people, do you wonder?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't think they're being considered to begin with. So
no, that's true. There we go. But
not to be political, but it's almost like our dear American citizens that are being hit by these hurricanes. They're being forgotten about.
Completely left in the dust. And yeah, there's so much of that I can't even really begin to get into right now. I prefer to.
I'm just going to keep quiet, but that's all I'm going to say about it.
No, I get it. And I agree with you there. Those folks are being roundly ignored because they're in states where people have a certain perspective on the way that they vote and their political affiliations. So there's a large contingent, especially in the online realm, who don't care what happens to those people. I'm reminded of the winter storm that crippled Texas a few years back because their wind turbine generators froze up and ceased functioning. And a lot of people online in the political commentary space said, well, they're just Texans. They deserve it. They voted for Trump. They voted for Cruz. So they deserve it. They deserve what they get. It's God's wrath.
Dude, you know what I seen on Facebook today?
From that crowd, it's like, you don't even believe in God, so fuck off.
You know what I seen today on Facebook? You're going to shit yourself when you hear this. But it was an advertisement on Facebook, and it showed the border, and it says, does Texas deserve to defend its border?
That's an actual
now,
ad.
Let me read. Yeah, let me let you rehear what I had just said. Okay. Does Texas deserve to defend its own border?
Short answer, yes. I'll be back in a moment.
So that was an advertisement. Does Texas deserve to defend its own border? Let that sink in. The problem with that advertisement alone, let alone the question itself, why is it even a question? Do we let wild animals in the house that we have no familiarity with? Do we let random strangers into the house we have no familiarity with?
Nope.
Do
Nope
we?
to both questions.
Right.
We tend to pull out the guns or knives or hatchets or whatever we have on hand.
Right.
I'm partial to bladed weapons myself, but you know.
Well, being a patriotic American, I would assume you would understand I have a rather arsenal of weapons.
Oh no, I get it. I get it, and I am on board with that. Completely in support.
But it just kind of killed me, like, in my soul to sit there and read that on Facebook and think, why is this even a question?
Well, it's a question because we're in the midst of an election cycle.
Well, no, I'm saying as in, like, common sense. Like, well, why is that even a question? Why is that even prompted to think of? Like, why is that not immediately, yes, we should? You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Why is this up for debate?
exactly. When it's an obvious answer.
Right. But that's why it's up for debate. It's a question because common sense is not so common these days.
But I mean, that could be applied to a lot of things, you know, like that's even like dating. I mean, nowadays, when it comes to women, if you get ghosted, are you going to continue to pursue?
Well,
Or are
I'm
you going to
blessed.
carry on with your life and move on
Right.
and find somebody else?
Right. Like I'm blessed. There's so many ways in which I count myself very fortunate that I am married, that I'm not in the current dating market. I don't have to deal with that kind of horse shit.
That's my whole point. Like, it's common sense, though. You're not going to sit there and keep messaging, hey, you going to message back? Hey, you still there? Hey. No, dumb fuck. They don't care. Move on.
Right. At that point, you're just going to look desperate.
But it's a simple fact. The instinct should strike right then and there. Okay, move on.
It should.
Okay, stove. If you have a hot pan on the stove and you touch it, like, and you burn yourself, but you realize that the stove is hot, the pan is hot, there's no grip on it to hold it, like a cast iron, for, let's say a cast iron.
Yeah.
Are you just going to grab a piping hot cast iron pan with your bare hand?
One would hope not. Although, there's this fascinating, I guess it's like a nervous tick in some people. They feel the need to get close to that dangerous situation, even though they know they'll get hurt. It's like a compulsion. I forget the name of it, but it's not masochism.
Okay.
It's something similar.
Let's say a knife then. Are you going to stab yourself with a knife?
No, I'm not Jason Voorhees. I'm not trying to prove anything.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, that's where common sense should come into play and be like, no, that would hurt a lot. If not, like, that would fucking kill me.
Right.
But I mean, it's just instincts are no longer a thing anymore, I'm afraid.
It's largely been bred or programmed out of us. And I think that's part of why the crowd of folks who are in charge of or in support
Nobody
of
has spider sense anymore.
Yeah, it's why I think folks like this Boone lady at Halo Studios. It's why people like Alyssa Mercante. It's why people like the folks at Kotaku or Hit Detection or Take This. It's why these people in the cultural arena of entertainment have such a deep disdain and distaste for folks who are still operating on some level of instinctive awareness when we call out that, hey, you are fucking with the lore, with the canon, and you're pushing a message that we don't appreciate or agree with, or even something as simple as, could you, even if we don't hate it, we just want you to keep that kind of messaging out of our entertainment and media. Could you please? It's why they hate us, I think, because we have not lost entirely our capacity for pattern recognition and being able to identify their propagandistic pushes when they show up in our media, in our entertainment and hobbies. It's why the folks at Wizards of the Coast were so scream-inducing when people pushed back against their new open game license, when they tried to re-up that into the 2.0. And people said, hey, fuck you, what are you doing? Because they didn't realize, or they were hoping, that we would remain blissfully unaware of what they were up to, what they were doing, because they have been for so many years performing this slow march through the institutions of our culture and society, especially in the West, that they thought, we've got a clear path, we've got all our people in the positions of control, in the positions of production. We will give the people who are the consumer base no other options. They will purchase our slop or they'll get nothing.
Yeah.
I can roll this back into the whole fucking Emperor Palpatine lookalike there, head of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, that piece of shit, saying, you will own nothing and you will be happy. Bullshit. Yeah. There's enough of us who see, oh, you're a tricky dicky little piece of shit. I don't like it, Klaus. Now go away. By the way, if your name is Klaus and you look like a close cousin to Emperor Palpatine after the corruption of using Force lightning, maybe don't wear a cloak that looks like it was designed by your shared ancestral Sith grandmother. Holy fuck.
Right. Yeah.
Like if I put that thing on, you would know immediately, oh shit, Josh has turned to the dark side. We got to kill him.
Yep, gotta pull out the pink lightsaber.
Yup, sorry, man. It's got to be done. I totally get it. You know, hey, but just remember, if you strike me down, I will come back more powerful than before. I remember the lines of the olden ways of Star Wars, bitches. Han shot first.
He did.
Sorry.
Sorry, my kitten was telling me I want to jump back on the other chair. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna scoot it towards you.
Not a problem. I am gonna have to wrap up pretty soon.
Yeah, no, I'm getting there myself. I'm actually gonna probably go lay down after this. I'm getting kind of tired. I think we've covered quite a bit of stuff, from Clone Troopers to Halo to Star Wars to what haven't we covered?
Well, there was one quick little insert I wanted to briefly put in.
Okay.
Really quick, just regarding one of my favorite things to touch upon, which is, as usual, Substack.
Mm-hmm.
Until recently, there has not been much in the way of good news for me or folks like myself when it comes to Substack, but a recent little tech update on their end, they have finally implemented category tabs on the app and on the site, so that when you are on Substack as a user, either as a reader or a creator, you can navigate to and find the categories, the subjects that you actually want to read about. You don't have to just get deluged with the general blast of everything. And they actually have a fiction tag and they have a literature tag. About fucking time. Thank you. We've only been begging for this kind of thing for the last, 2 years. And they finally got around to implementing it. Why is it that something so small, so simple, and so useful seems to take forever for them to figure out? Seriously, why?
I have no idea.
Disappointing, but hey, at least they finally got around to it. That's all I can really say on that.
Yeah.
That's really all I wanted to add is there's some good news. Good news, everyone. You know, Professor Farnsworth, one of the best old men in animation. Oh, I see. Torn to shreds, you say. Oh my. And then who was left? I see. Torn to shreds, you say. Good news, everyone. We have a new job. Bite my shiny metal ass. Sorry.
Yep. Good old Futurama.
Yeah, I haven't watched that in forever. I should go back.
Same.
I should do a rewatch. I know there's like newer stuff too, seasons that I haven't checked out yet. So I don't know.
Oh, shoot.
There's not a whole lot of newer stuff coming out
No.
these days that I want to bother with. So it's like I'm having to go reach into the past for shit.
Hey, I mean, that's what I've been doing with the emulator stuff. Like, that's why I was playing Killzone the last time.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
a whole stream of that, and I'm going to play Killzone 2 later tonight. Killzone 2
Nice.
and Killzone 3. I've been
I forget what's
revisiting a
three
lot of
on
the older
PS4?
titles.
okay.
Army of 2, another one I played.
Okay.
Yeah, what
dude.
were you saying?
I was gonna really quick ask: was Killzone 1 and 2 were on the PS2, right?
Killzone 1 was on the PS2. Killzone 3 was on the PS3. Or Killzone 1 was on PS2. Killzone 2 and 3 were on PS3.
Oh, okay. So it was only the first one that was on the PS2.
Yep.
Okay. I couldn't remember.
And by the way, most of the guns in Killzone 1 are inaccurate as shit. I'm not even joking. Like, it's not even it's not even an understatement or even I'm not exaggerating by any means.
Is it the
I can
sights?
literally show you my bullet grouping.
Is it the sights are bad, or is it that the
No.
collision detection boxes?
There's
on
no
it?
real like sights in the game. Like,
Oh,
it's just more so of a zoom in of like
okay.
the gun, but it's not like a scope or optic I'm aiming through.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, I'll show you.
Yeah, I need a visual reference here.
Like, that's the Hellgun rifle that the enemy uses.
Okay.
Now, of course, I'm shooting really close to the gun right there.
Yeah.
That's satisfying.
Yeah. Beginning of the game. Keep in mind, I am playing this on an emulator. Hold on. So this is what I mean, like when you zoom the game, like you'll see when I start shooting.
Oh,
see how the gun? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not aiming down an optic or nothing like that.
Yeah, you're using the reticule.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even look like it's really that spot on.
It's not. That's probably the only really accurate rifle in the game is the ISA rifle. The Hellgun rifle is all over the place.
No, that can't be useful.
That's a grenade launcher. Full handheld grenade launcher.
Makes me think of like if a gunslinger like Wyatt Earp or someone had a grenade launcher, like they'd have it in a
oh man, that would have been epic.
Revolver style.
Well, revolver style, you might as well just have a grenade launcher at that point. Like now that gun wasn't too bad. That was like the Hellgun LMG.
Okay.
It's more of a light machine gun. They're pretty fucking inaccurate too.
You've been commenting on it in the stream.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, but Roakeen here was like, those LMGs are pretty good. I said, pretty fucking inaccurate too.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's pretty. I'm not even a big time FPS guy, and that just is bad.
Yeah.
What the hell? All right. Well, brother, I'm going to get going.
Hold on. Let me. Here, hold up. There's a better way to show this. Show that these guns are bad. Yeah, I think it's like right at this point right here. Then I'm gonna hop off.
All right, bro.
But I'm using the Hellgun rifle right here.
You're gonna practically be like right up on top of those guys before you can land a hit. Jesus.
You see how many rounds I'm shooting?
Yeah, you gotta fire off almost an entire fucking magazine before you hit.
Yeah. Like playing it, like, you know, watching the video of me shooting that gun.
Man, come on.
Yeah, it's not good.
Oh my god.
It's not good at all.
No more proficiency. Gun still this fucking thing.
Yeah, I mean, it got so bad I wound up picking up the regular ISA rifle and started using it. Because I was playing as the Hellgun character. I think his name was Haka.
Okay.
He's like a spy for the Helghast. Well, for the ISA, but he's Helghast. He's like a hybrid or whatever the fuck. I don't know. But somebody was telling me in the comments that if you played as Haka, you would have more of a proficiency with the Helghast rifle. But I'm sitting here thinking, okay, if I'm a soldier, it shouldn't matter if I'm Helghast or ISA, human or Hellgun. A gun's a fucking gun. No matter what training I have with that rifle, I mean, it's still point and shoot, you know?
Right, and unless their hands and shoulders, but morphology is significantly different between the two species.
But it's not, because they're both humanoid.
Exactly. That's you. Thank you. You picked up quickly and immediately what I was getting at.
Yeah.
There are some people, honestly, they wouldn't know what I was getting at.
But look at this. Look at even with the ISA rifle.
You're just wasting bullets.
You see me like tap firing it.
Yeah. And your target is right in the middle of your reticle.
I mean, it's an old game. I get it, but
that still is not promising.
It made me wonder how this game even made it to a 2 or a 3.
Well, hey, Winback got remade.
But I mean, I'm glad it did at least because Killzone's fucking cool. I really like Killzone. I didn't care for the first game as far as the gameplay, if I'm gonna be real. Story was cool, but gameplay not so much. It was so punishing because every level, if you died, if you did not get to a checkpoint, you had to restart the whole level all over again.
Ooh. There's a certain flavor of old school mentality to that.
Oh yeah,
and I can kind of appreciate it.
I can appreciate that, but given the fact of how like janky the gunplay was, it was a one and done for me.
Yeah,
play it and be done with it.
Yeah, because at that point it becomes more of a chore to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, playing video games should not be a chore.
Like it was more of a pain to play than it was fun to play.
Yep, and that's where I'm sorry. At that point, that's where I would say, hey, they're called games. They should be enjoyed.
Now, if there were per se like an update patch nowadays for the game where they did something to the guns to make them a little bit better or whatever, I would probably play it again. If it was like a graphic overhaul or something of that nature, I'd probably play it again. But because it's a PS2 game,
yeah,
you got what you got.
Right, and the likelihood of them remaking it would be, I imagine, pretty slim.
Oh, for sure. But my whole point is like, because I was playing it on an emulator, you know, it is possible to redo things for the game.
Yeah, yeah, I don't doubt that.
Because like they've done that with Resident Evil Outbreak, where people have their own skins for characters to play as.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that the other day.
Resident Evil Outbreak, if it wasn't for the fans, wouldn't be a thing now.
Gotta love the fan made.
They literally got lucky with the server files and snatched them up and redistributed them in a way where people can still enjoy the game today on internet service per se. So it's pretty cool. But on that note, I am gonna end it there.
All right, brother.
And Wednesday, I'm gonna try my damnedest to be on because I know we got the back rooms we got to cover.
Yes.
There's an 8-minute video for the back rooms.
And the back rooms is our favorite deep dive to go into.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's going to do it for us then today. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Culling of the Nerd with your host, Cortex, and your loudmouth, run-at-the-mouth, windsock co-host, ByronofSidius, Chief of Nonsense. And we invite you to join us once again when we come back on Wednesday for a deep dive into Kane Pixel's glorious material known as the Back Rooms.
But until then, guys, take it easy, and we'll see you all then. Peace out. I like to say later on, and it is possible I'll be playing Killzone 2 and 3. So tune in for that. But otherwise,
And then later this evening at work, I'll be once again, more than likely, doing my break time story time on both YouTube and Rumble.
Yeah. ByronofSidius will be doing his thing later. Which I'm gonna put your your channel down here in a second.
Yeah, I appreciate that, brother.
So you got the there you go. That way that's there.
Oi.
But other than that, guys, we will see y'all later. Either later today through our channels individually or later on this week coming up.
Take care, folks.
Yep. Till then, take care. See y'all later. Peace out.